so I will open us up. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you all for joining us today. See, there's a couple people who are still connecting to audio. So I'll just give 1 second here. Make sure that you can hear me, hear us. I'm not the important one to hear. All right, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. There might be some more people that continue to join as we move along, so I will keep an eye on the waiting room and continue to let people in. I think that most of you we've met at least Zoom met in the past, but just in case, my name is Kimberly Lang. I'm a senior specialist with the First Nations Health Directors Association team. I'm talking to you today from Tsleil-Waututh territory on top of Burnaby Mountain. And I'm really happy to have you all here today. A reminder that as you probably heard as you joined, we are recording this webinar. We do that because we know how busy it is in Health Director land. And so we want to be able to ensure that we can share the good information that is shared today with other health directors who just aren't able to take the time out of their days to sit here with us in this moment live. So that is that. So with that, I'm going to introduce our presenters. I'm going to hand it over to Shay, who is with FNHA's team. And so she'll introduce herself and then introduce our main star attraction presenter, Victoria, after that. So over to you, Shay.
Thanks a lot, Kimberly. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shay Whale. I'm calling in from Saanich territory today. If you'll excuse me, I sound a little odd. I've got a little bit of a cold after healing our spirit worldwide, but sorry for my odd, congested voice. I am I'm called a consultant, but I'm somewhat like a program manager for the Respecting Tobacco program at the First Nations Health Authority. So we do a lot of work relating to both harm reduction of commercial tobacco use, like smoking or vaping, as well as supporting the use of tobacco for traditional purposes and ceremony. I've been in my role for about 9 months, so I'm still learning a lot, but happy to be working for the FNHA. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Victoria, who is indeed our star today. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Great. Gisakukit, Hugaklik, Nabikaak. Good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria Stevens, and I am originally from the Dunaha Nation. I am calling in from the traditional Syilx territory, Sinpington, British Columbia, which is Penticton, BC. That's where I actually live now. And yes, I have some information to share in regards to work that I have been involved in at Canadian Cancer Society. So thank you, Shay, for the welcome. And thank you, Kimberly. You are also important, I find, because I need to be able to connect with you in order to do my presentation. So we're all really equally important. And to all of those who have joined us, thank you for joining. I appreciate you taking the time to hear the information I have to share today. So I believe you could see my screen. And so this is the front page of our Talk Tobacco program. Talk Tobacco, as you could see, is a partnership between First Nations Health Authority and the Canadian Cancer Society. And Talk Tobacco has been in operation, well, it's been developing since about 2017. So just going to move on to the next slide. So talk tobacco, it's a traditional sacred acknowledgement of the traditional and sacredness of traditional tobacco. And when we speak, we're usually directing our work towards the use of commercial tobacco. So Canadian Cancer Society, and hereinafter I will say CCS, respects and honors the difference between traditional and commercial tobacco use. We acknowledge that communities have a distinct and sacred relationship with traditional tobacco. This is going to be a little bit about our program overview. I just want to mention that, when we began the journey into this program, when we met with communities, it was stated very clearly that we needed to understand the difference between traditional tobacco and commercial tobacco. So again, Talk Tobacco is a partnership between the Canadian Cancer Society, Ontario Health's Cancer Care Ontario, and the Indigenous Cancer Care Unit. And I should have added here at this point, First Nations Health Authority. In 2017, a group led by the ICCU called the Joint Ontario Indigenous Cancer Care Committee, JOIC, identified the need for tailored and culturally appropriate cessation services and recommended that CCS lead the development of a program to meet this need. My understanding is that this came about because the Indigenous Cancer Care unit was identifying that there was a high representation of patients coming in that were dealing with cancer, and there wasn't a lot of support for them to look at quitting or reducing their tobacco use. In 2018, Canadian Cancer Society conducted a survey of Indigenous health care providers and smokers to determine the feasibility of services. And I will just add that this was, majority of the work was done in Ontario area. That's where they were starting the project. Also in 2018, they were actually able to secure funding from the Canadian Partnership Against Cancer, CPAC, to create culturally appropriate cessation services for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. They then began their engagement strategy in 2019. Here you have a picture of the engagement process, and these are participants in the Saskatoon area. Canadian Cancer Society did go out into Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. They kind of reached out to some of their partners in other programs to identify, whether they would be willing to engage in some strategy around the Talk Tobacco program. They were looking to establish the relevancy and accessibility of the program and to inform how services could be developed with an understanding of Indigenous health and wellness. They met with Indigenous organizations and leaders to seek buy-in and support for programs and services. And they wanted to incorporate learnings into the programs for referral and promotion. Some of the findings that came out of those strategies was that the people that were participating identified that the quit coach, I guess because, as you all know, Canadian Cancer Society has a smokers helpline. And so they were asking what the relevancy of that would be and, whether that could be extended into First Nations communities. And so one of the things that came out of it was that they wanted the quit coaches to be well versed in Indigenous cultures. So they had to have a good understanding of what Indigenous communities and cultures looked like. They emphasized that it needed to be a relationship-based approach, and not just a very quick sort of, gives them some pointers and then the conversation ends. So they wanted them to understand that they needed to be able and be willing to establish a relationship with the people that were calling in. They identified that it may require several calls with the client and even perhaps their family to build trust and to hear their story. And they also identified that youth vaping was becoming a significant issue, and so they needed to be willing to address that as well. And they said that they wanted people, the quit coaches, the people that were working in the program, to understand that mental health and addiction play a significant role in commercial tobacco use. Here we have just a picture of sort of how program implementation began. So in 2020, they launched telephone cessation support across Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and they also launched the website. In 2021, they launched the live chat and text support in those provinces. And in 2022, they actually launched a partnership with Métis Nation Ontario to develop training for their frontline teams to have cessation conversations and provide relevant referrals to cessation support. And we've just completed that, I believe in, where are we? I think in June, we actually completed that. So we will look for some evaluation feedback from them shortly. And then again in 2022, Talk Tobacco services were extended and launched in BC in partnership with First Nations Health Authority. When we talk about vaping, so as many of you know, the research and the knowledge around vaping is fairly new. And so we do offer support for those looking to quit or reduce vaping. And we do we just have a general message. And I will say that, I am one of the quit coaches that answers the phone on Mondays and Tuesdays. And when we're talking about sort of how we're reducing vaping, we do give them some general information about what we do know about how the vaping apparatus works and the contents and, things like that. But I will say, and I have said to people that, there have been quite a few people that identify that they would prefer to use the vaping as a form of reducing their cigarette use. And so we actually, it's not our place to discourage people. We just encourage them to be aware of sort of the contents and to know that it's not free from harm. When we're talking about referrals, the next couple of slides will identify what are referrals, who can refer, why refer, and when you can refer and how you can refer. So referring a client, when you go to our website, you will actually be able to find this referral form. And so what happens is this referral form is filled out and then it is faxed into the number on the screen there. And you just send the general information and it'll go into the fax number, and then our Smokers Helpline manager, I guess, would review these and then assign them to the different quit coaches. When referring a client or patient, 60% of those contacted by a quit coach would not have called had they not been directly referred. When you make the referral, usually within 72 hours, the client will get a call from us. Any healthcare or other provider can refer their clients to the Talk Tobacco program, and within 3 days, the client will receive a call from a quit coach. It's important to know that when you're making a referral that you can make a difference. So understanding that tobacco is the leading cause of preventable death and disease, that 3 in 5 smokers intend to quit within the next 6 months. 3 to 5% of unassisted quit attempts are successful. And success increases by 20% with advice from a health professional. And you likely encounter people at those teachable moments when, you know, they're thinking about quitting or reducing. Our phone support, so quit coaches can help callers with making a quit plan, managing withdrawal and coping with cravings, quit methods such as the pharmacotherapy, NRT, managing stress, and finding available resources in the community. And these are the times that the phone hours are available. Services and support. So we have phone support. We have live chat. You could connect with a quit coach in the live chat. And then we have text support. There's an online community support, facebook.com, Talk Tobacco. They provide information around the quit map, and there's a quit calculator. So client outcomes from April 2020 to February 2022, we did our evaluation. We did our, I think it's evaluation. So what came out of that was that our project, or Talk Tobacco, identified that there were 164 clients from April 2020 to February 2022. 752 client contacts. So we've had quite a bit of people contacting, just looking for information about the program. We have 37 clients that have reduced their cigarette use and 32 clients that had quit completely. And 14 clients that had already quit but called to maintain their resolve. And again, I note that this was up to February 2022. So women were most likely to call Talk Tobacco, and the higher contents were men and women between the ages of 35 to 64. I will say that this was the information that was gathered up to February 2022. We have people that gather information for us on a monthly basis. And so what we have noticed with the information coming out of BC are that up until, I guess I would say probably May, June of this year, it was being identified that the more men in that age category were actually the ones calling for here in BC. So we found that interesting. So current and former tobacco users most frequently reported smoking between 11 and 20 cigarettes a day, and were most likely to be rated by the quit coach as being in the action and early preparation stages of change. And referrals were most frequently made by quit coaches, CAM-H Stop Study, and the Ottawa Model for Smoking Cessation. Here we have some posters and postcards. If you need to get in touch with me, I have hard copies of these that I can have couriered out to you. So we have the poster, which is on the left, I believe, and then the postcards, which is on the right. And postcards are 3x5 size. So, and those are really nice to hand out at your health fairs and the different things that you have, just to give people, which we've been handing out some of them to the different events I've been attending. This is a picture of our website. So when you go to Talk Tobacco, you will find this website. It tells you information about the program. This is also where you can go in and find the downloadable version of the referral form, and it'll just give you some more information for healthcare providers. It's available in both English and French. And so just a note that between July 2021 and March 2022, the website had almost 8,000 user sessions and 11,000 page views. And through analysis, we have some key learnings on how to ensure success moving forward. So we have some really good tech people that are continuously, like I said, monthly giving us information on what's happening with the website and different things like that. So it's nice. These are some of the posts that we have on our Talk Tobacco page. We try to review these posts consistently to see whether they're still relevant or not, or if we need to change them. They come to our table. Talk Tobacco on Facebook, again, some of the posts that we provide. There you'll note that we have about 216 followers. We have reached about 12,314 people, and we've had 425 page interactions. So if you're interested in getting in touch with me to get some of the resources that I've identified, you can actually come to or get in touch with me at victoria.stevens@cancer.ca, and I would be able to send you out some of that information. There are some videos that you could see on YouTube. And then we also have a newsletter. If you're interested in signing up for our newsletter, we send out the newsletter once a month to healthcare providers just to identify what it is that Talk Tobacco is promoting or doing things that way. Oh, and that's the end of my show. I didn't even notice, but I'm not going to. Oh, well, I think I'll stop sharing my screen because once I end my slideshow, then you're going to see my page. So I'll just stop sharing. Good. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Victoria. I wanted to open the floor for questions for a little bit. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask Victoria, please, you can put them in the chat and I'll read them, or you can raise your hand and ask her directly.
Go ahead, Charlene.
Sorry, I couldn't find my button. I'm down there looking. Gosh, I love the site. OMG, I just shared it with all my staff. Would I be able to find on this site the statistical numbers for people who have tested or for cancer and the types of cancer, from like more specific lung cancer? Thank you.
Am I still? Oh, you can still hear me. Good. So if you go, if it wouldn't, that information wouldn't actually be in the Talk Tobacco site, but I believe that you can go to our Canadian Cancer Society, the main page. And so you can find different resources in there that identify maybe some of those statistics or things that you're looking for.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is that because if we bring awareness around the harm of vaping and smoking, right? It's good to have some statistical numbers, kind of shock therapy them, right? Also, I'll put in my chat my mailing address. We would love some handouts. We have our band members meeting coming up October 27th, 28th, 29th. Yes, it's a weekend. Yes, our council thinks we're crazy, but we do it on a weekend. We get our members there, for especially those that are working. So I'll throw my physical or mailing address in the chat. If you have any and all handouts, please feel free to send it to us and we'll definitely share. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Charlene.
Charlene, I just threw, I don't know if this is the exact right page because I'm multitasking here, but there's a cancer statistics page on the Canadian Cancer Society's website. So I've put the link to that page in the chat.
I think having this information is helpful, especially the kids we're targeting. Kids like numbers, right? And visual. As First Nations people, we're all visual. To see these images is one thing, but to say in a room of 50 students, half of you are going to have this, then that's a reality check for them. So thank you. I'm bookmarking this page as well, Kim. are adding to my favorites. Just because in our community here in Terrace here, and in the area, actually the area, we've seen an increase of patients being diagnosed with cancer, and a lot of them are not getting screened and or being testing confirmed cancer patient in stage 4. And it's really got me worried, because there is just too many numbers that are at stage 4. And we lose them so quickly. There's no chemo, there's no radiation, and I pulled the grandma, the Gigi Alu. I pulled that hat out with my grandkids. Do not. And having lost my own mother to cancer, the kids understand the impact of losing somebody to cancer. Unfortunately, it's how we had to learn. But sometimes we have to have this shock information so that we don't get, so they don't start. And unfortunately, the kids we're targeting are 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, because that's, I strongly feel that's where we're going to make the difference in healthy choices as they grow up as teenagers and adults. And before I stop talking, I just want to recognize that I brought some personal stuff up that may have triggered anybody. That's not my intent. Please reach out and talk with someone. Cancer is very much alive in our world and in our lives, and we don't have to be alone in this. And thank you for allowing me to share. Masi.
Thank you very much, Charlene. I thought I would share with you too. This might be something that you're interested. The First Nations Health Authority also has our Respecting Tobacco webpage. It's kind of almost the reverse stats of what you're asking for, but it still might be interesting to you. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a section that's called After You Quit Smoking, and it talks about what kind of positive changes you see in your body after quitting smoking. So like after 20 minutes, your pulse and your blood pressure return to normal. After 2 days, your sense of taste starts to return. After not like between a month and 9 months, your coughing and your shortness of breath go down. So it kind of covers the trajectory of how healthy it is for your body to quit smoking. And that might be some information that you might be interested in sharing as well. So I thought I would put that in there. There's a lot of fact sheets. If you take a look on that too, there's a video which is really good for youth. We have a Respecting Traditional Tobacco. It's an animated video that youth might be interested in as well. It's a YouTube video that you can share. We also have some posters or one-page fact sheets about like vaping or about smoking, all of that stuff. We can also send to you if you would like. I can send you the list of things you could choose from, and then you can send me whatever you want and we can mail them to you for free. Awesome. Can you put your email in the chat if you're interested in that? So I got emails.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Shay, that you could provide us?
Oh, if you take a look on the wellness, the link that I just put in the chat, the Respecting Tobacco First Nations Health Authority page, there are a lot of fact sheets on that page. Any of the fact sheets on that page we can send to you for free. We'll ship them to you in however many you need. If you're going to have like a health fair, or if you just want them at your health station for people to grab or anything like that, we can send them.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble. I keep choking here, but Charlene, I did take your address, so I will have those, some of those. We actually have promotional gum as well, which I think is really cool. It's sugarless, free gum, and it's just a small package, and it just gives our information, how to contact us. So I will send you out a bunch of those as well. And I just wanted to say, Shay just reminded me that we actually have our first week challenge that coincides with the Smokers Helpline. They have what's called the first week challenge. So if you know anyone that is interested in quitting, they do this what's called the first week challenge, and there are, of course, ways to qualify. And so you would have to speak to the first week challenge people. But we have had our first two winners in BC, one in August and one in September. And so the next challenge will be coming up in October. And so it's just a way to try to get people to be aware. And they have an opportunity to win, I believe it was $500. Don't quote me on that, but you know, I think that they have an opportunity to win that, providing that they're able to remain smoke-free for that week. And like I said, there are ways that you have to identify how you're qualifying, but yeah.
I think Shay's just madly writing down all of your emails.
I am. If you can see me, I'm frantically writing down emails right now.
Does anybody else
Thank you.
have anything that, yeah, just whether it's a question or a comment or just anything that you feel like you want to share?
Charlene here again. Question around like the smoking piece around pregnancy. Do you have any promotional material with that kind
That
of
is a really
information?
good question. Victoria, do you want to answer first?
Mine will be a short answer, Shay. I'll have to check with my supervisor because I've never actually had that question asked. I can ask what materials they would have at the Smokers Helpline at Canadian Cancer. However, I know that Talk Tobacco, I haven't actually seen any of those. So yeah.
And for us, I can say we do have some materials. They are more geared towards like health professionals and helping like doctors or nurses have those conversations with patients. They're not really geared towards like the general public, but I will also say in the next couple months, we're going to be developing some resources specific to smoking and pregnancy, breastfeeding and smoking, cannabis use and pregnancy, that kind of stuff. So if you have any specific questions that you hear a lot, please reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat so that when we develop those resources, we can make sure that we're answering specific questions.
The one I'm most specific interest, look at me trying to talk without a second cup of coffee. What I'm most specifically interested in is the birth weight and respiratories in the infant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I'm old, guys, so okay, now we can move on now. Way back when there was a bottle, they had the fetus in the bottle, and they had a whole bunch of like ucky stuffs in there, and I remember this is what happens to you when you smoke with your child in your room, and they had a whole bunch of like, it just looked, it was a big bottle, right? And we can't find a material like that again for educational purposes, right? What I would love to see, if you have actually a 3D, and I'll just go on the limb here and ask for all of us, if you have a 3D model of a lung, what it looks like from vaping with all them holes. If you have that, I'll again just speak on behalf of the whole crew signed in here. Send it to us. Again, visual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. And I know we don't have anything right now that exists, but I will definitely take that to our team and say, hey, people are interested in this, because I think that's a really great idea to show visually.
Mm-hmm. Again, kids are visual. We're all visual learners, and having that to have something to look at, because not every day we're going to see a lung, right? No, well, unless you further into the healthcare field than we are, but any and all material that you can have in a 3D image, we would greatly appreciate it. Or if you can direct us to the websites and we can order our own supplies, that would be greatly appreciated as well. And I'll grab your email address. Did you get it in there, Shay?
I'm just putting it in there now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I did enough talking. I'll let Andrew take over. Or Peggy.
Hi, Charlene. Hi, everyone else. I wanted to ask if there was opportunity to invite you folks to any events that we may be hosting in the community. Glenbell already had her health fair. It was a 3D event. But if other communities have any health fairs coming up, do you guys go to those typically and bringing some materials and maybe even offering a presentation with a PowerPoint? We may be interested in an upcoming fall youth conference. I know that FNHDA put out information for the youth and elder gathering, and I don't know if you guys are presenting or will have a station or a booth there, but there's a conference in Prince George next month. Thank you.
Oh,
Actually, I definitely would like to be invited. I have, that is part of my job, is to go out and do promotion and liaison. So definitely, if you could take my email and give me a heads up when those dates are coming up. I have had an opportunity to travel, to the Vancouver Island. I've done some of the interior places here, but I'm always open to traveling in other places. And I have definitely wanted to get up to the Prince George area. So send me an email.
And similarly, I can also travel if available. We actually do have regional positions for Talk Tobacco. A lot of them, unfortunately, are not staffed right now, but if you live in the Fraser region or the Vancouver Island region, I can send my colleague. If not, you may be also stuck with me.
We're not stuck with you. We have the pleasure of your presence.
Thank you, Charlene. And full disclosure, I totally am from the Hazelton area and I would love an excuse to go visit.
I had the Peggy, the health director. I had the same question as sorry, the speaker just before me, Andrew. Our health fair is usually in October of every month, and I know we live like far north. Winter's coming, but just wondering if there's anyone who would bring all that wonderful material that Charlene's been asking for and have a booth at our health fair. If that's possible, we would love that. Thank you.
Totally. We're both just frantically writing down all these lovely requests right now so that we can contact you.
I can email you guys the chat after the meeting too, so.
Sounds good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. The benefit of, sorry, I should have said that earlier, save your finger. Yes. Sorry about that. You guys can get me back another time. The benefits of recording is it will also save it'll save the chat.
That sounds great. So yes, any requests to, like, if you would like someone to come to your health fairs or anything like that, just send it to us so that we can see which one is best to respond. Shay and I have attended both the elders gathering and the youth gathering that happened in March. And I was, and I'm just open to attending other events. I was scheduled to attend an event this week. Unfortunately, something has come up and I'm not actually able to attend, but yeah, so, and it's unforeseen circumstance. So anyways, I hope that we have entertained you for the last little while. I don't know if there are any other questions, but I kind of scrolled and I don't see anything. So I think that's about it for me.
Awesome. And I do want to say, just as a promo for Victoria, she's got awesome in-person resources. She's got a really big cigarette that shows all the stuff that goes into cigarettes. She's got a lung that shows what a lung looks like for secondhand smoke. It's not a real lung. It's like a, it's like a copy of a lung in a jar, and it shows that kind of stuff. People really like Victoria's in-person items. They have a lot of, they drive a lot of interest to the table. So hope you get to see them in person. So if there are no further questions, I think we can say thank you very much for having us here today and sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we will get this recording loaded up to our website as quickly as we can. My personal caveat is that our AGM is next week, and that might be taking like 97.82% of my brain power at this point. So it might be a week, but that's okay. We will get it up there shortly and get that notification out. So if you, and I will also ask if there's any specific kind of, we can stick a couple of whether it's presentation materials or some quick FAQs or something that we can grab off one of the sites and attach that alongside the recording. And then you can listen back or share with your staff, community members, colleagues, etc. So yeah, thank you, everyone.
Oh, and I will say, sorry, final thing. If you would like us to send materials to you, please try your best to submit your request to us about 2 weeks before whatever event you're wanting to have, just so that that gives us time to get them printed and in the mail, so that you have a couple, days as a buffer, so that they will show up on time. I'll send the form to everybody who has put their emails in the chat, and it does have those kind of guidelines and instructions so that you don't forget the dates. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, with that, I just want to thank Shay and Victoria very much for coming on and providing this this information. It's smoking and tobacco use and all of that is something that it sometimes feels like, with all the other like all caps all the time, like craziness that we have going on in our worlds, we can sometimes forget about the things that prevent people from maybe being as well as they could be, that is kind of has been there all along and continues to be there, and that we can help to get that good information out there and help to support people for living their healthiest, best selves. So yeah, much appreciated. And as always, if you in half an hour from now you suddenly think of a burning question and you realize that you didn't have a chance to ask it, you can, if you don't have Shay or Victoria's information, feel free to send it to the FNHDA at fnha.ca email address. We're always happy to help in whatever way we can, and we'll certainly pass on any questions or comments to Shay and Victoria as well. So yeah. So with that, thank you very much. Lovely to see those of you on the line who were able to join us, and I hope to see some of you next week at our AGM, and some of you and in our ongoing Zoom sharing circles as well for my health director peeps.
Give them dress warm. It's cold here.
Yeah, I saw it's supposed to rain next week, so I'm like, oh gosh, I have to find it's weird to say, living in the lower mainland, that I need to find my rain gear, but it's we could really use some rain down here, so I haven't had to use rain gear in a while.
Yeah. Feel free to pack woolly socks too. Okay, guys. Stay safe. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.